The biggest story in DC sports in the last 24 hours is the continuation of the investigation into the Washington football team. We talked about this in the 6 o'clock hour, but yesterday the NFL announced that they are taking over the investigation. Daniel Snyder, the team owner, said the Washington football team launched an independent third-party investigation into allegations about our culture and incidents of harassment. In conversations with Commissioner Goodell, Tanya and I suggested that the NFL assume full oversight of the investigation so that the results are thorough,
you did,
and trusted by the fans, the players, our employees, and the public. But we also learned that Lisa J. Banks, who came on the show on Friday, and her partner in her law firm, Deborah Katz, they met with Lisa Friel on Monday. She's the NFL's special counsel for investigations.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we hear that the NFL is now investigating the Washington football team. And we want to know if you feel this is a game changer. If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067. You can call us on the AAA Always On Call listener line, 800-636-1067. I don't think what happened yesterday was insignificant. I think it's pretty significant.
The problem is that it's still largely the same investigative team that he hired. And again, you never know what the NFL's motives are. The NFL might say, listen, Dan, look, just for appearance's sake, we'll be in charge of it, but don't worry, we'll figure something out here. You know what I mean? It's the NFL still that's in charge, and it's in their best interest to not come up with some scandalous conclusion, right? They're going to try to mitigate it if they could.
Maybe it's a little different, Eric. If Snyder just had his attorney who's doing this investigation, they may have been going about it however they wanted to based on their client, Daniel Snyder, right? And that person may still be in charge of the investigation, but now with Lisa Banks and her partner being involved with all of these employees, and they've already spoken with the NFL's counsel, there may be a little more coordination there, whereas they may not have been as receptive to talk to all of those employees. Well, now Lisa Banks has those employees there. They're going to talk to them.
Well, my question would be, is this just spin from the league, and Lisa Friel is just telling Banks and Katz, okay, continue on with your investigation, just let me know what you find out? Or is Lisa Friel and her office doing their own investigation and getting deeper into it?
Well, remember, Banks and them are just representing the cheerleaders. They're not doing a formal investigation.
They're representing the employees.
Right.
Allred is representing the cheerleaders.
Correct.
Right.
Sorry.
So that would be my
The investigator is Wilkinson. That's the one
Is
that
that
Dan
Beth
hired.
Wilkinson? Yeah,
Yes.
Beth Wilkinson.
Right, but now all of a sudden, Banks, they're collecting all of this information. They're gathering all this information from the employees. They may be able to just turn it right over to Banks, whereas Banks may not have really been prying and, knocking on all doors, making all the calls, calling all of these employees.
Right. I just feel like what's in the best interest of the NFL? And it's always to drag things out. It's to, wait until the next scandal comes up. This isn't as important. Mm-hmm. And all I could do is judge, like Dan, by looking at him, unless he's completely clueless, and it's very likely that he is. That guy looked like he didn't have a care in the world yesterday at the stadium. He looked all excited to see his guys
fat
out there.
and happy, didn't he?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's what sociopaths look like, Evie.
Agreed.
And maybe it's a stretch to call him a sociopath, but,
Well, this would be my question, and I
Eric.
had this question for the last few months. All right, even if they investigate and they find all this stuff, how easy is it for Goodell and the league to force Dan to sell? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know. I'm sure there are some bylaws.
I mean, if he is
in there.
steadfast against selling, and like it's got to be on his own terms, how easy is it for Goodell to force him to do it? I know other commissioners in other leagues have done that, but maybe the evidence was greater, and maybe those people just decided, you know what, it's not worth the fight. It's just a pain in the butt. Well, that's the
thing. It'll be a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit.
Yeah, so that would be my question. How easy is it for a commissioner or a league to force one of its owners to sell?
I know Cakes, when we were talking about this last week, and obviously the NFL hadn't stepped in as the investigators, he seemed to think that, well, it's pretty easy to get 75% of the owners on board. They just don't want to deal with this headache. I don't think it's as simple as that. I think you need more of a smoking gun. We talked about it. You need somebody to flip on him, somebody to directly tie him to the videotape, maybe corroborate the indecent proposal thing a little bit more. Maybe he's released all of these NDAs. Maybe there's going to be something that comes out, beyond what we've read in the Washington Post story. But we want to hear from you. 800-636-1067. Does it give you a little more hope? I think it does. Now, I think it just inches you a little bit more towards his removal or him stepping down, which I still believe is unlikely, but it's inching towards that way. It's not moving further away. It's moving closer to that.
I'm just looking at his body language yesterday, and I'm going, this guy, he thinks he's good. He's not worried. He's not worried. They'll pay off whoever they have to pay off. They'll find out whatever they find out, but that the league is not going to force him to sell, and he's going to continue on his yacht in his pajamas, and nothing's going to change.
Yeah, make people take their shoes off before they get on.
The NFL's had investigations in recent years where they've found wrongdoing in these teams with Deflategate and Bountygate.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
So take away a few draft picks or something.
No, I mean this is different. That's having stuff to do in game.
Yeah.
They can bring down the hammer on Dan Snyder.
Do you think that they will? I'm judging by his body language. He doesn't look like he has a care in the world.
That means nothing?
Well, that's
like
because-
JP pointed out earlier, there's
it means
plenty of
something.
guys.
He knows what's going on.
Bill Cosby walked into court like he was still famous, and
please.
people do that all the time when they're guilty.
All the time,
Just
EB.
because you saw one photograph of him smiling from a
I
suite.
say that guy doesn't look like he has a care in the world.
Dude, guilty people all the time.
Well, it's
living
because,
their
you know
life.
why? At the end of the
nothing.
day, he knows he's one of the richest guys in the country.
Yeah, and he's just gonna
So
hire
that's
lawyers,
another reason.
and they'll just fight and fight and fight. And I don't. JP is trying to find this scenario in his brain where Dan is just gonna say enough is enough. He's not. It's all he lives for. All he lives for at this point is this football team. As far as we know, he doesn't have any other outstanding, significant business interests. This is it.
But what does that have to
This
do
is
with who cares if that's all he has? What does that have to do with them
He'll
taking
fight it.
I don't know what to think, Eric, about this because let's be honest, we don't really know what's going on. We have no idea what they're investigating or what they found or who's talking. My only question would be, like I said, is how easy is it for the league to just say, Dan, sorry, buddy, you're out?
Well, I don't think it's easy.
Yeah,
but
I don't think
that
it is
there
either.
probably are some bylaws that they could try to cling to if they wanted, but do they really want a fight?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, this would be like
Or-
an Al
or does
Davis situation.
Or does Snyder want the fight? He may not want it.
Yeah, but he's got
You know what I
nothing
mean?
else. This is all he's got. He's not. I don't see a scenario that JP's hoping for where he just says enough is enough and bows out. I don't see it.
Yeah. Unless legally he's forced to, which
Unless he was legally forced
we have
to,
no idea.
or
Right.
some way there was some, like he had real financial problems. It was the only way to sort of retain some wealth.
Yeah.
Was to get rid of the team. You
Yeah.
know,
But things have happened with this team that we never predicted. We would have never predicted.
as far as the name change.
Yes.
The name change, you felt like inevitably it might happen. You didn't think it was going to happen in 2 weeks.
Not based on what he said a few years ago.
True, but you saw the way the culture was changing. So you just saw, eventually I could see that. So it's not as shocking. This is a big one, though, to remove an owner. Because, listen, the other owners don't want to pile on either. They don't want to because they could be the next guys. The next time they find a scandal in their organization. You know, they don't want the microscope on them. It's a good old boy network for a reason. They protect each other.
Yeah, but
even though Dan
I can't
doesn't seem to
imagine
have any allies.
I was going to say, I can't imagine he's well liked
No, but
in that fraternity.
Right, but you always got to be careful because whatever you do, everything comes back around,
Well, this I do know. This is why lawyers are rich, because I can't imagine what their hourlies are, but they're going to get so filthy rich off this investigation on both sides. Allred's already rich. He's going to get filthy rich. These guys, Wilkinson, Banks, all cats, they're all going to just make so much money.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just stupid.
Yeah.
And it could be a long, drawn-out thing. It could take months.
All right, I got my mic back working. Let's go to the phones. 800-636-1067. Sed's in Bowie on line 1. Sed, you're on with the Junkies. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. What's going on?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man. What's up?
Well, the way I'm looking at it now, if it all comes down to money and business and the political climate and everything that's different now makes it to where he could have that smirk on his face like everything's good because everything's been good in the past, but it's just a different time now. And with the minority owners wanting to be out, I just see it as just inevitable to where it's literally costing people money. So he's like dead weight on the ship. You know what I mean? So sooner or later, for optics' sake, the NFL might have to detach or remove themselves from him entirely, especially if there's going to be something found within these investigations that's like stuff that they really, really swept under the rug that the public doesn't know about.
Yeah.
What if, and I know it didn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things when it came to the name change, but, you know, there were occasional protests about the name change over the years. What if you started having like a large amount of women protesting outside of the park?
It'd have to be a large number, but I think there could be something to it. There could be, but it'd have to be a large number. I think significantly more.
It can't be, 50 or 100.
Yeah, the Native American protests never really
they were
amounted
small.
to much. They were always very, very small. The reason why he changed the name is because the money went away.
Money, right.
The advertisers.